Hi, I'm Tom Stoneman, and this is The Intelligent Enterprise, where every 2 weeks we take a break from the chaos of enterprise life and get inside a big idea by getting outside of it. Each episode, we meet an industry expert who helps us cut through the noise from all the updates and rollouts while exploring one of their favorite break time activities. It might be over a coffee, a walk, or even a game of ping pong, something that gives them some headspace when they're deep in a problem. Although we try to avoid things like skydiving or whitewater rafting. Today, I'm joined by Regional Chief Technology Officer at Digitate, Efrain. Efrain is a true expert in the AIOps space, having worked in the IT industry for over 15 years. His current role, providing technical leadership to customers and partners, keeps him ahead of emerging technologies and industry trends. That's right, his job is literally being in front of AI.
Many people are expecting that you're going to be able to automate pretty much everything and get rid of probably half of the people you are on your department. That's just not going to happen, and we're not seeing anybody being complete success on that.
In our conversation, we talk about what is at the heart of large enterprises implementing AI, from integration with existing tools to observability and transparency. We'll also find out how Efrain uses getting outside as a tool to get some perspective when he's deep in a problem.
I love working, especially here in California. With so much work, we spend so much in the office. So I'm really glad to have the opportunity so I can pump up my steps, because the last couple of days, my average steps are very low.
Let's get inside the future of enterprises by stepping outside of them. Thanks for coming in, Efrain.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here. I always enjoy coming here to the Valley.
We want to ask you what your favorite break time activity is. What do you like to do when you're deep in a problem or you have something you need to solve?
That's a great question, Tom. Let's say I'm an outdoors person. I really enjoy the outdoors. And for me, the most effective activity when I need to clear my mind is to just go out and running. I don't wear any headphones, so I just want to hear the sound of my steps, my breath, and that allows me to step away and to really focus on what I'm trying to think about, to process information, and try to come up with those ideas that help me basically move forward with these complicated issues that I normally have to deal with.
I mean, the one thing that I can't do is jog, so we're just going to walk today.
Yeah, we can take a walk. That would be great, yeah.
So let's dive into what you do here. If you could describe for us in just a couple sentences what you do, what your role is.
I'm Regional Chief Technology Officer for Digitate. So regional because I focus entirely on the European region. So my responsibility is about educating customers to help them understand how our products and solutions support them in their activities, how we can improve their day-to-day IT operations with Ignio and what we offer. So my role is basically explain, drive to customers step by step what they're going to face during this IT transformation, how it's going to be the journey, what are my probably risks, but also the benefit they're going to experience. So then easing their journey into this IT transformation.
It's an awesome role that you have. Real quick, what got you into technology in the first place?
So I'm always excited about technology. From a very early age, I was programming. So I used to steal my sister's calculator, Casio, and just start programming basic. And then at age of 10, 12 years old, I was already taking courses and working on my Commodore 64. I was also very inclined to understand how things work. And from there, my role has been more of a troubleshooter. So I really enjoy taking complex situations and finding different solutions for it.
So in your role, you've got a lot of opportunity to interact with leaders in the IT industry all around the globe. What are some of the things that you've been hearing from them regarding implementing agentic AI?
So that's a very interesting topic, Tom. See, there's a lot of noise in the market. Our customers get bombarded, the media, by vendors and hearing what other customers are doing. So they go into typically we call FOMO, fear of missing out. So they're really excited about this thing, but they don't really understand it. They find themselves in a very tight spot, trying to decide, okay, what is the thing I need to focus on and who's going to be my partner?
Efrain's role puts him at the heart of the conversation around intelligent automation. He's out there in the real world talking to enterprise leaders, helping them make sense of what AI can actually do for them. Recently, there have been 3 themes that come up in these conversations: integration, observability, and AI decision transparency. With more organizations than ever before rolling out AI to help with their operations, I'm curious if Efrain still sees these 3 concerns coming up.
It is an ongoing concern, especially when we talk about integration capabilities. Customers have a very diverse environment. So before they might, I used to have 1 or 2 tools. Now you have 16 different tools for monitoring. So when we look at these agentic AI or automation solutions, you need to be able to interact with the existing environment. So integration is definitely an area of concern because of complexity. So it's very important when they look for a company or somebody that can help them overcome these challenges on integration. Then comes observability, especially when you're going to automate. You don't want to go blind. You want to make sure that you're able to understand what these systems are doing. You don't want to run on autopilot with your eyes closed. We still going to have to keep eyes on the road. We're going to still keep our hands on the wheel and be able to take action when required. So this same situation is happening when we deploy this type of agentic AIs or AI in general.
And you mentioned before, you said, fear of missing out. How does fear play into this? I mean, do you find a lot of them are just reacting now, or what's maybe an example of something like that that's happening?
So fear is something we can see a difference within the attitude, sometimes in this side of the world, like in the US, and the attitude in European countries. Especially where I come from in Germany, there's a lot of fear of being the first and fail. They feared of a lot of finger pointing, saying you didn't do your homework, you didn't do your planning, etc. So Germans, in general, we like to plan, but then of course too much planning basically delays implementation. Some of these technologies require a certain level of trying things out. So you need to experiment a bit, of course, with the proper guardrails. So this fear makes organizations extremely slow.
Got it. I also wanted to ask you, I know we were talking a little bit about the speed of implementation here in the United States versus Europe. Just give us a feel for the differences, because it's pretty drastic, right?
It is. Especially in the initial phases, it's so critical to get everybody's buy-in. When you're coming with a new solution, there's a lot of skepticism and all things around with cybersecurity and regulations like the AI Act. I mean, the level of questions you get are pretty deep and very technical. So we spend a lot of time discussing and try to reduce risk at the minimum, whether it's risk of data coming out that the customer does not expect, risk of something happening that they didn't expect to happen, risk of non-compliance for certain laws. So all these things we have to go through a very specific process. Customers already have groups and templates to go that. I just went for a customer review where we had 60 different questions just to get through what we call an assessment for deployment for the SaaS solution. But once we overcome, let's say, these initial steps, then we're able to move a little bit faster. It's about always being the first. I mean, I remember there was one customer that was just slowing us down, and he was telling me, so, Efrain, I just don't want to be the first to deploy SaaS. They always want somebody else to go first and see if it works, then they will follow.
What's the number one objection then? I mean, because I don't want to be first isn't really an objection. That's just, I just don't want to be first, right? But what's the objection once you're past that?
So one of the typical objections is when you're connecting their systems to an external solution, there will be a little bit of data transfer and also a lack of control. They're going to solutions which are depending on somebody else, like a cloud vendor or a SaaS solution like ours. So we have to make sure that they understand that all the right guardrails are deployed and all the security concerns, the architecture is made such a way which reduces extremely any type of risk of losing control over a solution.
Let's focus a little bit more on agentic AI. So, we all know agentic AI is a key trend. It's everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. And it's not just in IT operations. It's everywhere. What other implementations are you seeing?
Good question. See, let's go back a little bit, and I would say about 2 years ago, GenAI, it was exploding. Everyone was interested in GenAI. And the funny thing, I was going to a conferences, is everyone was just like, give me use cases, because everyone wanted to implement GenAI, but they didn't know for what. The technology looked amazing, but the implementation was kind of a little bit fuzzy. So now when we go to agentic AI, then we're getting a little more into concrete use cases, automation, enhancing, optimizing processes, etc. So that is now is becoming a little bit more concrete what we can do with these kind of solutions. And we see a lot of potential on different areas, not only IT. Customers are looking at optimizing the supply chain, they're optimizing procurement process, optimizing ordering procedures, optimizing customer support, etc. So there is a lot of potential on these solutions. What we're trying to figure out is what is the best way to deploy in a safe and controlled manner where we have all these parameters that we talked before, good integration, observability, and control.
So if you were to take that and apply it to all the different people that you meet and talk to every day, what's the one thing you've learned about, either about solutions or in general, that you think more enterprise leaders should understand?
Yeah, I think it's very important for enterprise leaders to fully understand what this technology is capable of. Many people are expecting that you're going to be able to automate pretty much everything and get rid of probably half of the people you are on your department. That's just not going to happen. And we're not seeing anybody being complete success on that. So we have to take a step back and say, okay, what is the one thing we can do safely with this kind of solution? And then start implementing that and then start growing slowly. I had a discussion with a customer the other day. They actually look at it by value streams, and they're already looking at what is the actual benefit that they're looking at. So they can truly prioritize. They said, okay, if I deploy this on this area, I could have a huge impact on my sales. And if you look at that, then you can really prioritize and organize yourself and say, okay, this is important, this might be trendy here, but then this is what actually going to get more value, and that is something that is really going to help the whole organization to move forward.
This is a perennial challenge for any organization. To keep your cool, ignore what trends are saying, and focus on what will bring value to your organization. It's easier said than done, right? On the one hand, you've got a group who are gripped by FOMO, fear of missing out, who are desperate to get something new launched. And on the other, you've got teams that are clinging to legacy systems because it's been their job to keep everything from breaking. And the bigger the organization, the harder it gets.
Processes are so established, and to be able to change a process, it requires a lot of talking. And then you're basically not only talking to one person, you're talking to multiple departments, and then trying to get multiple people aligned on one goal. That's one of the hardest things you have to do. So definitely starts with having the proper sponsorship. So if it comes from the top, let's say I'm talking to a CTO, CIO, and say, this is the way to go. So everyone has to follow. Doing it a little bit bottom up is very challenging because, everyone's going to ask, what is it in for me? Is it a benefit, or I'm doing something that because now probably my job is going to disappear, I'm in danger. So you have to think about this and then focus on saying, this is going to allow us to do more. This is actually going to simplify your work. You're going to be able to scale up and do more complex situation. And the ideal is that we want our company to grow It's not that we're just going to cut costs. We're going to actually build more things. We're going to sell more services. We're going to reach more customers with pretty much the same amount of people that we have now. So that should be the focus.
Efrain, you want to go and take a walk?
Yeah, let's go walk. I love walking, especially here in California.
Perfect time of year, but it's always the perfect time of year here because every day is about the same during the summer.
Yeah, and then one issue I have, Tommy, I love to at least make 10,000 steps a day. When I go jogging, I go minimum 5 to 7K, so I have my route. But you know how it is, with so much work, we spend so much in the office. So I'm really glad to have the opportunity so I can pump up my steps, because the last couple of days, my average steps are very low.
So how do you keep track of your steps? You just have a phone pedometer?
Yeah. So I'm always, as soon as I wake up, I put my Apple Watch on, I have my phone with me. So I'm crazy about stats. VO-Max, I'm looking at my pulse, I'm looking at my steps. I love to do a lot of sport. I play flag football like 2 times a week. So that is something that is really keeps me up and just keeps me pumping. So I'm always tracking my statistics and make sure that I'm always on track and closing all my rings, like they say.
Well, I'm glad you like to walk because I can't really run anymore, as I mentioned, with my knee.
Yeah, we'll walk today. No,
But I do try to keep track of my steps too. I don't always get to 10,000, but I try to hit about 7. So that's super important.
Especially when I'm on holidays. And holidays, I do like to walk a lot. New towns, new cities, and etc.
Yeah, and you're in North Germany, right?
Yeah, so I'm, let's say, the west side of Germany, a little bit less center north. I'm very close to Amsterdam. I'm very close to Belgium. And it's a very flat area, so walking is not an issue. We have a lot of parks. We got a lot of forests, so we can go to.
That's gorgeous there. Yeah, you got those cool cities with the cobblestone. A little hard to walk on, right? But when you go over to Belgium,
Yeah, and we're very close to the Rhine River. So along the Rhine River, you have beautiful paths all along the way where you can take long walks or ride your bike.
That's great. We've got a bonus question. This one is a little bit more, it's about your vision, right? So what's the one thing that you believe that AI will allow us to do that has never been done before? Something completely different?
That's a great question. So I think one of the things I see definitely in the short term is going to be the proliferation of, let's say, coaches, personal coaching. So probably each one of us will have a personal coach, whether it's for sports or for the work we do or for career development. So an AI-powered companion that we can always reach out, that it knows us pretty well because it understands what we want, what we do, and our experience and the jobs we have done, and then understands what are the gaps and help us to close those gaps. So I think in general, AI is going to help us do things better and faster over time. What else we can do, I think is a little bit hard to see, but honestly, the sky's the limit. There are typically technologies that look fancy. We see that sometimes in cars, and then we end up rolling back because the original way to work was perfectly okay. So we just have to avoid over-engineering solutions and focus on the things that truly add value. The other challenge that we're seeing is, and you see in all the big companies, is that AI is consuming a lot of power. So that's a trade-off. So the more AI we bring, the more power we have to produce, and then less power is left for other things. So there has to be a proper added value. It cannot be a nice tool to chat and play jokes about it. Like we used to talk to Siri. No, tell me a joke, Siri. That looks fine, but doesn't add any value. So it has to really add value to make sure it said, okay, now I'm doing a trade-off. We need to produce more energy, but then we're actually getting more benefit. We are producing medicine faster. We are able to skill up people a lot faster than before. So nobody's left behind.
Thank goodness for GPUs, right?
Yes.
Well, I love the idea of the personal coaches. That sounds patentable, actually. Good idea there. Efrain, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you joining us and really appreciate you taking a walk. That really made the day special.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thank you. We did well. We both getting much better stats now on our watch after today. Yeah.
I think we didn't hit 10K, but we maybe hit 5. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right. Well, thanks again, Efrain. I'm not walking on the beautiful cobbled stones of Germany or along the Rhine River, but I am in Santa Clara, California, where it's summer almost every day. So inspired by Efrain, I'm going to go on another walk. What stands out to me from our conversation is this paradox of being slow to move and driving this rush to move fast, the fear of missing out, FOMO, which shows up again and again, and it makes sense. Large organizations have a lot at stake. Tools, data, processes, both their own and their customers, not to mention data breaches, algorithmic bias, and even operational issues like AI hallucinations and over-reliance. These are all significant threats artificial intelligence poses to businesses. In the end, though, Efrain's point is that it's not all about risk. It's about value. What's actually going to move the needle for your business? And hey, if you're not sure how to answer that, maybe try getting some fresh air. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Intelligent Enterprise, a podcast where we get inside big ideas by getting outside of them. I've been your host, Tom Stoneman. Make sure you're following the podcast and leave a comment or review wherever you get your shows.